welcome to Watch Symposium. I'm Austin, and this is a custom video for Jonathan. If you want to see how you can have your own custom video made, check out the description of this video. All the information is there, and you can make one happen. All right, so Jonathan. Jonathan is a two-watch guy. We'll check out what he has later, but he's going for a third piece, and I have a feeling this is a grail piece. This is a pretty heavy-hitting piece, and he's thinking about coming to Japan to get it. He lives in Denmark. All right, he writes, I would like to purchase a Rolex 326934 SkyDweller, and that's the steel SkyDweller with the white gold fluted bezel. I love the look and engineering. Retail cost in Denmark is 1,832,730 Japanese yen. And by the way, we're going to be talking yen today. So open up another window on your computer, ask Google, ask Siri, but I can't do the conversions to everybody. Everybody's going to have a different currency that they want, and rates change. So this currency conversion is on you, all right? But again, he's talking the retail price for the SkyDweller in Denmark, and that's 1,832,730 yen. And when I saw this figure, I thought, retail, this has to be the gray market price, but it appears not to be. This appears to be the price at AD's. Now, I went on Chrono24 and they had 3 SkyDwellers for sale, and here are the prices, all right? And check out the blue dialed SkyDweller. That's $35,000 over. So I think it's safe to say that he's right. He says the retail price is this. And what surprised me so much is that this is over $2,000 more than what ADs here in Japan sell the SkyDweller for. Here in Japan, the SkyDweller sells for 1,564,200 yen. That's at an AD. Now, you can't find them at ADs. You can't find them at ADs anywhere in the world, but that's like $2,500 cheaper than in Denmark. So that's surprising that Denmark ADs are thousands more. All right, well, I can see why he wants to come to Japan to buy his SkyDweller. He continues, I'm on the local AD list, but no relationship and not holding my breath. Well, typically that's ideal. Now for you, if you could come to Japan and then find one at an AD here, you'd save tons of money. But yeah, good luck with that. White dial is the best option as I have a black dial GMT, which is a very nice contrast. And that's what I did. I started out with a black dialed Rolex, my 14060 no date sub, and then my second piece was the Explorer 2 with a polar dial, the white dial, and I love that, the difference between the dials, and it makes going back and forth between them pretty nice. So that's a good choice, and as we'll see, it's probably the most cost-effective choice as well. And then he adds, and as a bonus, it's priced close to retail. And what he's talking about, I think, are the white-dialed SkyDwellers here in Japan, as we'll see. My original choice was the blue dial, but I tried the two-tone white dial when I was back in Glasgow over the summer and loved the white dial. Also, realistically, I would rather have a JLC Reverso Duo face and a white dial SkyDweller than pay the extra £6,000 for the blue dialed SkyDweller. And what he's getting at is that the premium on the blue dialed SkyDweller is, according to him, and as we'll see this is correct, about £6,000. So yeah, I think I would rather have a white dialed SkyDweller and another $6,000 watch, whether it's a JLC or something else. When it comes to this steel SkyDweller, there are 3 dial colors, the white, black, and blue. And when it comes to desirability, from least to most, you've got white, black, and then far above those two, you've got the blue dial. And the blue dial, again, it goes for thousands more. And, it's crazy that people are paying this kind of money for just a different dial color, but You know, these are people that just want the watch, whether it's $6, $10, or $20,000. They've got the money. The money's not the issue. They just want the watch, all right? And so that's who is buying these watches, all right? Now, just to give you an idea of the disparity between these dial colors, on Rakuten, which is, it's sort of like a selling site here, brick and mortar shops here in Japan advertise their goods on Rakuten. Well, I looked on Rakuten, and the cheapest SkyDweller I could find was a white dialed SkyDweller, and the price, as you can see, is 2,079,000 yen, all right? And these are with tax. So if Jonathan were to come and find this, he would get 10% off this price because tourists don't have to pay sales tax, which is 10%. So this would down the price by $2,000. Well, about, yeah, 2,000 and change. So keep in mind, though, that this is a used SkyDweller. It's got some dings on it. It's the cheapest of the cheap, all right? Now, the prices go up from there, but the cheapest black dialed SkyDweller is this at 2,153,606 yen. And then the cheapest blue dial that I could find is this, 2,698,000 yen. Let's just call it 2,700,000 yen. And that's over 26,000 USD. And that's pretty crazy. But again, if you look at Chrono 24 prices in Denmark, maybe not that crazy. All right, he continues, I also scratched the blue dial itch by getting my, quote, tool watch, a blue Tudor Pelagos for my 40th birthday in June. It convinced me that I could wear a 42mm watch. But I have since realized I'd be best with a G-Shock style tool watch as a beater because the Pelagos is still a luxury watch. And yes, back when mechanical watches were the only kind of watches, you either wore a watch that could somewhat take it, or you would just take your watch off. But these days, there are a lot of better options. G-Shocks, quartz watches. I mean, G-Shocks are fantastic. Now, when it comes to mechanical watches and my Rolexes, I always call my Explorer 2 my beater Rolex. And that's because, you know, I travel with it. I take it swimming. In fact, I'm going in a couple days to an onsen and a pool with my daughters. And I wouldn't wear this. A lot of holes in this watch. And also, I don't think this has ever had a service. And, you know, that's 10 plus years without a service. So not sure that it could withstand swimming until it gets a service. So I'm going to break out the Explorer 2. And in fact, I took that to Thailand. I swam with that in Thailand, in Cambodia. And before I did, I had it pressure checked. And RSC was like, yeah, you should have a surface. I was just like, all right, do the pressure check. Now, that was over a year ago, and it's been on those trips. And so is it still okay? I guess we'll see. It'll be somewhat of an experiment. I might be kind of nervous, but I'm pretty sure it can take it. We'll see. That's going to be going and getting in the water. And that's what these watches do best. They withstand water, sweat, moisture, humidity, dust, you know, body fluids, human excrement, anything you can splatter on it or spew on it or spill on it. And that's the best thing, really, in my opinion, about the oysters. But as far as them being real beaters, they really aren't, because any kind of mechanical watch, you give it a good hard smack, you know, it's a mechanical watch after all, and it's going to mess up the timing. And I dropped my Explorer 2 pretty early on when I got it, and it sped it up by like 10 seconds. So while mechanical watches, we might call them beaters, like I call my Explorer 2 a beater, we really don't beat on them, and you're going to have problems if you do. So that's not to say that the Tudor that he has isn't a great tool watch, because as we'll see in the second video, he's got a pretty nice watch with a lot of sentimental value. He's had it for a long time. And the Tudor is a great watch to travel with, you know, put in situations where you want a good watch. You know, you have, of course, one foot on the path of Rolex with a Tudor, and there's that Rolex connection, but you're not risking his real good watch, all right? So that's a great watch to have, that Tudor. He says, I would consider selling this Tudor in Japan, but I doubt I would get a decent price for it. And for that reason, I'll likely keep it, as my nephew loves it, and I would rather it go to him at cost if it goes to anybody. Any thoughts on that price? Well, the cheapest Tudor on Rakuten that I could find was 341,000 yen. And look, if you came here and were to sell your watch, my guess is you would get about $2,000 for it, 200,000 yen, because they probably would have it inspected, possibly serviced, but probably just inspected because it's cheaper. That might cost them $300, probably less. And then they tack on 1,000, and they're not going to price it below this cheapest of the cheap Tudor Pelagos. So yeah, my guess is around 2,000. Now, the interesting question is, could you sell your watch here? You know, if I were one of those companies here that buy watches, and that's what you have companies and shops that just buy stuff. They don't sell anything, they just buy stuff. These watches then go to auctions, and the gray markets and the gray market dealers and the pre-owned shops bid on these watches, all right? So that's the way it works. But if I had one of those shops, would I sell to a tourist? Probably not, because, you know, when you're talking a, you know, stolen watch, it's going to be really hard to get your money back. You know, there's going to be very little recourse. And we're talking about, you know, a couple $1,000 watch. So there's not going to be the incentive to, you know, start an international investigation, lawsuit, whatever you got to do. So I'm not saying that you can't sell it or that they wouldn't take it. I'm just saying that I don't know that I would take it. I guess, you know, it just depends on whether it's box and papers and you got a receipt and you're not too sketchy. I don't know. I'm not sure the logistics of it. But bottom line, I don't think that's what you want to do. Just hold on to it. It's a nice piece to wear when you don't want to risk anything happening to your good piece, your Rolex. So just hold on to that. All right, Jonathan says, back to talking about the SkyDweller. I have seen the very SkyDweller that I would like to buy on Chrono24 at the watch company and have included a screen grab of the listing. And here it is, and you can see 13,860 pounds. Now in yen, that would be 1,937,716 yen. Now this is a pretty good price, but this is without tax. All right. Now, if you come to Japan, you'll get this price. If I were to find this price at the watch company, or find this watch, I should say, at the watch company, I wouldn't get this price. Okay. I would have to pay, you know, an extra $2,000 on top of this. But obviously they're going to be shipping outside of Japan. So you're seeing a tax-free price. And if you're okay with this price, you'll definitely be able to find SkyDwellers, white SkyDwellers, at around this price here. All right. And so, yeah, considering the crazy prices of SkyDwellers in Denmark, you should think about SkyDwellers when you're here. And again, you won't have to pay tax. Great way to do it is look on Rakuten, find the piece that you are interested in. Keep in mind that it'll be 10% cheaper than the price shown. Make a note of it, and then find a few of those pieces, and then when you come here, go to that shop and see it. That's the way I do. I do my hunting on Rakuten. I find the piece, box, papers, you know, it looks, no mention of polish. It checks off my criteria, and then make sure it's in Tokyo, and then I go and see it. All right, and that's probably what you should do as well. All right, so we're gonna conclude this video. In part 2, we're gonna look at some of the other watches that he has, which we know that he's got the Tudor Pelagos, but he's got a Rolex as well, and we're gonna talk about that because he's got a few other questions. Let Jonathan know what you think about the SkyDweller. I think he's right to go for the white dial. By the way, you could always, and I don't know if you could do this, you'd have to call RSC to make sure, is buy a white SkyDweller, all right? And then at a service, buy a dial and have the dial changed out. Now, I would make sure that they would give you back your white dial, all right? I'm assuming you would want to put in a blue dial. So you could do that, but it really depends on the RSC. So you should call your RSC to make sure that they will do it. Now, usually the convention is if there's nothing in the serial number that denotes the color, you can switch things out. Like a 16570 Explorer 2, Nothing denotes it being a polar or a black dial, so you can, here in Japan at least, switch out the dial in the hands, and then they'll of course give you your original dial in hands. And there's nothing that I see that denotes the color on the SkyDweller, so that possibly could be an option, and it would definitely save you some money. I mean, it would probably be, I don't know, 1,000 or 2,000 for the dial. No more than 2,000, I imagine. It's a very interesting dial, by the way. It's actually 2 parts, it looks like. But it shouldn't be any more than 2,000, and then that's going to save you 4,000 on that $6,000 premium for, you know, the gray market prices of the blue dialed SkyDwellers. So that's an option, but you need to make sure that RSC will do it. It depends on the RSC in your country, and I would also make sure, A, that they do it, and then B, that they will give you back that white dial, because in some countries you can switch out parts like your bezel inserts, but they will keep the when you switch out. Meaning if you go from an all black to a Pepsi, they'll keep that all black, and you'll just have to make do with your Pepsi. And they may be taking your original fat font serifed all black, so you don't want that to happen. Here in Japan, as long as it's a different color, they'll give it back to you. But if I were to take in my Pepsi with a fat font serifs original and say, this is a little too faded for me, so can I have a service insert? I want to buy one. Well, they would put it on, but then they would take my original insert. So all those questions need to be asked. You can figure that out. But that could be a good way to get your blue dial SkyDweller, all right? Assuming they do it. I would be kind of surprised if they didn't do it, but if they follow their own convention, there's nothing that denotes a color like there is in GMTs, you know, a 116710 LN or BLNR. Those denote colors, the letters, obviously, that make it so you can't switch things out. All right, so hopefully that helps. Let Jonathan know what you think. Thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in part 2.